Hey everyone, it's me, Julian. A couple of people have asked me about the Zombies Run app that I was yakking about, and I figured enough of you have poked and probed trying to get that figured out for yourselves. I'm going to go ahead and do a review then for you. It's not going to be a great review. It's just going to give you some sort of indicator of whether or not you should spend the $8 on it. So the app, it's called Zombies Run. Here's what the main screen looks like. It is for iPhone, iPod. It's $8. Again, it's called Zombies Run. We'll get to some of the specifics later, but to start off with, just wanted to show you, here's the main screen. This is poking around a little bit in your base. We can get to what that's for later, but let's see. Let's just start off for what you're interested in is what is it, how does it relate to running? So as kind of a cheat, just to show you how it works, I'm going to go ahead and start a mission. If you see here, I'll slide to run. It'll give me the option to start a mission. Actually, I want to choose a different mission, so I'm going to go back here. Let's do recovery. So if you look at the options there, play music, you can pick your playlist directly from your phone, so any iPod or iPhone, iTunes music you have, it'll allow you to choose your playlist there. Tracking, obviously it needs GPS for iPhone to track where you're going. For iPod Touch it'll still work, it just uses the accelerometer instead of GPS, so it still gives you a lot of the same functionality. Now that last one right there, zombie chases, that's what really makes this fun. If you want to turn that on, you know what, let's go ahead and turn it on and see if it I like that warning. See that warning? So it's reminding you, look, don't be an idiot just because you want to turn that on. So that's going to change things up. I don't know if we're going to randomly encounter that or not. Let's assume that we won't. But what'll happen basically is right in the middle of our run, it'll tell us, hey, you know, you're being surrounded by zombies, and it expects you to pick up your pace for the next 30 or 45 seconds. And if you pick up your pace enough, you outrun them. If you don't, then they end up catching you, and you lose some of the things that you've captured the whole time. So let's go ahead and start a mission. And I pumped it through my truck so you can hear what's going on. Then we'll drive, and you'll see how it works.
Gates are open, covering fire, and go. So, just checking my mission sheet for your status. Yeah, there's no mission sheet. You've seen my office. Or should I say, corrugated iron hut we decided was no good for a latrine. With enough electricity from the generator to power the transmitter, but not enough some days for, oh, I don't know, light?
So you can
Did you
see
hear that,
it's
Janine?
tracking our distance
Okay.
so far.
Don't you worry about me, Runner 5. Just trying to keep everything together here while Janine... What are you doing with the electricity, Janine?
Remember, you're in my house, Mr. Yao.
Yeah, I thought we did away with the private property after the whole, you know, end of civilization. Remember that?
I remember this place was my farmhouse before all of you arrived. And I remember I'm the only one who knows where all the junction boxes are, because I wired the place myself. So yeah, those tools we're expecting from the military base would be pretty useful right now. Any word on that?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so, we're sending you back to your helicopter today. See if there's anything you can find in the wreckage. And I've got a little surprise for you.
Hey there, 5. Remember me, your old pal Runner 8? We're on the road together again. Isn't that great?
So then it cuts to your music, which is kind of cool. Cut right into your playlist. And so each mission is going to start off that way. It starts off with some sort of intro for why you're running or what you're doing. And the object of the app, if you haven't figured out by now, it's not about running. It's about giving your mind something to think about while you're running that is somewhat related to you running. The real question is, so it just told us there that we collected a bottle of water. That's kind of cool. Hang on. So the question is, does it do that? Does it make running fun? Does the storytelling piece combined with the items that you collect, does that take your mind off it? And the answer is yes, it does. If you pair that with good music, what you're going to find is while you're running, at least for me anyway, you find that your brain isn't focusing on something you don't like to do, which is running. And your brain kind of wanders off into the storyline that you're being presented in front of you. That it does really, really well. In my mind, is it worth $8? I don't know of anything else that I know of that I can remember that gets me interested in going to run and curious about what's going to happen when I run. And that's really what happens, is it makes you end up being curious because you remembered where the story came from and you're curious now what happens. The story is actually done by a pretty well-known group of individuals, one of them who actually wrote some fictional books in England. So when I say that it's storytelling, it really is storytelling. It's not like somebody who shouldn't be a storyteller writing a story. They're genuinely good storytellers. So in that part, it does really well. I took some other notes, though. Let's see. It does the storytelling really well. What are some things it could do better? Okay, so in the storytelling realm, actually, check this out.
We're making good pace here, 5. We're heading into hostile territory. You remember from your first run in? But if we just keep running and don't stop for too long at the chopper, we'll be just fine. I'm pretty interested to see what we'll find in that chopper, you know. That's why I volunteered for this duty. I know what people say. Don't think about the past. Just keep your eyes on survival, but well, I just can't help wondering about things. I mean, I've got the same problems as everyone else. Lost my husband and my 2 boys back when the dead took the east. Had to take them out myself when they came back.
So they'll play a clip to the story between runs, between songs in your playlist. So not every run is going to end up being the same length based on what songs are in your playlist. But basically, between each song, you'll get another piece of the story, and approximately 30 minutes in, it will complete that mission, and that'll be kind of one chapter of the book, if you will. That part, it does really well. I really like that. But if you're going to be that good of a storyteller, you're going to expect some criticism for the things that could be better. The reality is, the British accent can be distracting. When I find myself running, some words that it's almost as if somebody was reading you a story. Oops, let's back up here. Somebody was reading you a story, and they had a really thick British accent. Eventually, your brain would pick up on that, and it would notice that, and it would take your mind away from the depth of the story. That I find that happening. It's peculiar. It's interesting. It's still useful. It's still valuable to me. But I just noticed that. One other thing I noticed is that if you're running and your headphones get disconnected and you reconnect your headphones, it's going to kind of hang up the playback of the mission and basically kind of make you start the mission over if you want the story pieces, because it doesn't play any more story pieces and you lose your music. So that's probably an easy fix. There may be even a way around that right now. So, but anyway, it's $8. Let's see. You'll see here. You'll see the results of just that little drive that we took here. Those are the items that we collected. Okay. So what we do is we say, we're done with our mission. Yep. I'm just going to stop our music, and it's going to show us all the stuff we got. We have a Facebook and Twitter integration down at the bottom. You see that there, so you can upload the results. You may have seen my results. When you return to base, there's your base. You choose your supplies option, and it's going to show you all your supplies. Now, where this is interesting is the supplies you collected on your run, you end up... Oops. Basically, you put those into certain parts of your base. Oops. So like this one here is the armory, right? So you can take your stuff, or excuse me, that's the housing unit. You take your stuff and you put it there, and it makes those parts of your base more powerful, I guess. This is where I get kind of lost, though, because I'm not really sure what... It's neat to say that you can do that, but you don't really get an objective for why you're doing that. I don't necessarily know... I know that some of the missions are locked unless you have a level 3 hospital or something, but other than that, it's neat when you run that it tells you collected shotgun shells, but it's not like you get to do anything with shotgun shells other than move them around to parts of your base. But it's not like something attacks your base or anything. You don't really know why you're doing that, I guess. That's one other thing that I think could be better. All in all, I'm really happy with it. I'm happy I spent the $8. I really like it. I treat it like a storybook that I'm listening to while I run. So, I mean, if you go into it with that mindset, I think it's really great. I think there, in that regard, there's a great number of advantages versus a traditional running app, which tells you things like calories and altitude, and all that stuff is fantastic. But for people that don't live to run and need to run to want to try and improve their health, that's not really going to help them much. They're not interested in that stuff. So this does a great job in that regard. I think it's first a storytelling app, and secondly, an app that will tell you how far you've run and encourage you to run. But anyway, hope that's useful to you. If you have any questions, let me know.